So today we will continue with the book Panoramic View of Sahaj Marg by Shri Raghavendra Rao. Chapter 9, Stages of Spiritual Evolution. A stir in the ultimate has been the cause of this creation. The highest approach possible for man is to attain that condition which was his at the time of creation. Immediately after the stir, a sort of explosion or a kind of great impulse, the divine currents or stream or vibration started to flow. The flow of the currents took innumerable shapes and forms. Inversions, complexities, and formation of knots were the natural results of the flow of the currents. The tendency of the flow was downwards, that is, from a higher level to a lower level, or from subtler condition to grosser condition. The power of that original stir was partaken by all the beings created. Man got the lion's share because he was connected more with the center or the ultimate. In him, too, the creative power worked to form knots, complexities, and grossness. But man's inner formation was in the opposite direction to that of God's creation. The resultant strife helped still more to increase his inner complexities and perversion. The drama of the Almighty's creation will be over when the force of the original stir is completely expanded. That state is called the final dissolution or Mahapralaya. Similarly, man's own tiny creation can be dissolved when the power of his thought is taken away from it. This is called the individual's pralaya, or the dissolution of the individual. What remains after it? Only that which is the original. The turning away of man's thought from his own tiny creation can be effected by some specific methods of yoga. The result will be the commencement of his reverse journey towards his origin. All the higher approaches lie between his present gross condition and his original state. When a person forms a strong will and determines to attain real goal of human life, with faith and confidence, he has already come to a higher level of being. The region of heart is the playhouse of the entire drama of life. The heart can be broadly divided into two parts, namely the upper or the brighter part and the lower or the darker part. When a person takes up the path of spirituality, his journey commences in the upper region of the heart. He gets the experience of the divine light pervading the entire universe or every particle emitting the divine light. The superconsciousness of the heart region is activized. It may take many years to complete the journey of the first point of the heart region. By the help of transmission, the journey can be completed as quickly as one desires. After merging in or acquiring oneness with the condition of that place, the student can move towards the right side to the next stage of the heart region, which is called the seat of Atman. The characteristic of this place is the divine peace or silence or tranquility or bliss. There are other points which are described in detail in Anant Kior and other publications of Sri Ramchandra Mission and other mystic literature. Take a pause here. Any questions, anything to add?
It's a very simple explanation. in a good, still ways. So I think we'll continue.
Yeah. Every transitional phase, from one phase to the next higher stage, is full of restlessness and pain. Nevertheless, this pain is very sweet and welcome. After the restlessness comes a condition of comparative peace and bliss. The experiences of certain divine conditions, like the state of divine pervasiveness, divine bliss, the integralness of existence, the state of oneness, go on repeating in subtler and subtler forms. Simultaneously, the experiences of this world go on gradually fading out. It means that the heart has stopped taking impressions of the worldly matters. No doubt, at higher approaches, man is still busy with the worldly activities. He is quite a normal person for all practical purposes. Yet, his attachments from the world are completely loosened, and at a higher level, he feels actually the strings snapped off. Although he is doing all the works of the world, yet he is in a state of wonder as to how all the works are being done by him. He feels as if someone else is doing them. When one rises above his body consciousness, he feels as if his own body is of somebody else. When he rises above the soul consciousness, he feels as if he is lost. When he rises above the consciousness itself, he is no longer there, and only that remains, which is his ultimate source. He is now swimming in the central region. When one gets established in yoga, one automatically gets the essence of all of that with which he is united. This union or attachment is developed by the process of thinking only. It is a matter of everyday experience that the outer form of a thing comes into view on the first observation. On a closer examination, its qualities begin to enter into one's awareness. If the observation is still continued, its subtle form alone remains in view, and further still, only the idea remains. This means that the deeper layers of the consciousness of the observer are progressively affected and activized, and finally, the union is established. If this method is adopted with the divine being apparently in a human form, one goes on progressively getting united with that. In Sahaj Marg, this process is accelerated very much by translation. Anything to add? Just one thing here, right? The union or attachment is developed by the process of thinking only. That is where we have to focus a lot on our thinking.
Yeah, only the divine qualities we try to imbibe and express. That is becoming one with the divine. The idea is that becoming one with the divine is not that we are divine. We express the qualities of the divine so that the divine is expressed through us.
Yes. Higher approaches in spirituality are nothing but subtler and subtler levels of being. In proportion to one's height of approach, his power of thought becomes strong. A skillful master cleverly directs this increased power for pushing the disciple to a yet higher level of being. The help of a competent master becomes absolutely necessary at higher approaches because their conditions are very slippery and every moment there is the fear of a fall. Due to immense power of thought, the temptations to use it for the fulfillment of some silly desire or other becomes irresistible. Only a capable master can skillfully handle such powers, which are meant to be utilized only for the purpose of God or for the divine work. Therefore, it is always beneficial for an aspirant to be unaware or to remain unmindful of his powers by surrendering himself completely to the will of God. The capacity of human thought is indeed very great. When man takes up the observation of the physical world, his knowledge of it expands to such immensity that he considers this worldly existence alone to be all in all. When he looks to the power of his thinking, he concludes that the entire existence is made up of thought alone. Every field of activity of his thought goes on expanding very vastly. In Sahaj Marg, his thought is made to get linked with his origin. Therefore, he is not allowed to stagnate or even expand at any level during his journey until he reaches the goal. Nevertheless, when he takes an occasional sidelong view, he finds the brilliance or dazzle of the brighter worlds to be too charming to rise higher. At such times, the help of the capable master becomes absolutely necessary to orient his thought in the required direction. Therefore, even the much praised and much sought after bliss too is sacrificed at the altar of the final destination. People may not like the idea of attaining or approaching the condition which is beyond bliss. Generally, they are satisfied if they are promised the glorious condition of existence, consciousness, bliss, or Satchidananda. But the researches of the inventor of Sahaj Marg have opened up new vistas. Whether one likes it or not, the ultimate condition lies far beyond Satchidananda. If by some means or other one attains that condition where there is neither existence nor non existence, neither consciousness nor unconsciousness, neither bliss nor sorrow, he would rather allow his whole body to be cut into pieces than to part with such condition. Even in ordinary lives, one sometimes comes across examples where man, under the pressure of some strange and strong motivation, has done glorious deeds without caring for his own safety. Saving the lives of others, sacrificing his own life almost deifies and immortalizes him. Whence has that motivation come? These examples clearly indicate certain potentialities in the human being. The glorious works of the and prophets, the ennobling and hope giving words of the devotees of God, the selfless services of great men are clear evidences of the presence of some higher power in man. In common men, those powers are almost dormant. When the power of yoga is kindled in him, all of his potentialities are lit up. He no longer remains a helpless spectator or a lifeless puppet in the drama of life. He becomes the master and really free man to take his proper position in this great workhouse of the nature. During his march on Sahaj Marg, one passes through different kinds and stages of samadhi or trance or absorbance. The feeling of being drowned in some pious thought is a common experience of almost all the beginners. The final state of being is the Sahaj Samadhi or natural balanced mind. Man at this stage is although fully busy with his worldly duties and activities, yet is completely merged in God. Apparently or outwardly, he is quite an ordinary man, yet his inner condition is that of God or the perfect being. All the divine qualities of omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotence become his. Yet he is above the awareness of his own qualities. It can be termed as a state of perfect ignorance. He is simple and childlike and very sweet. Whoever comes into contact with such a one find him to be his own self. His love becomes all comprehensive and knows no bounds. In short, he is released from all the finiteness and has realized the infinity. The idea of the perfect purity of the ultimate condition has led people to develop purity in themselves. Consequently, they develop the practices of purification of local, body, mind, etc. These practices are quite tedious and time consuming, and many a time they stagnate at one level or another. In Sahajmarg, the effect of transmission hits the innermost core of one's being or his causal body. The necessary purification and the introduction of the divine light is done at the central portion. Practice of meditation helps that effect to grow outwards. Gradually, the mental, vital, and physical bodies are affected. And finally, every particle of one's being is transformed into energy and divinized. If the ascent of the aspirant is necessary for the descent of the divine grace, the necessary ascent is effected through the transmission of the divine grace right from the beginning in the practice of Sajma. Thus, the transformation of the aspirant into his ultimate is the highest approach aimed at in Sajma. The ideal is not an unattainable and speculative being, but it is actually realized in practice by those who have undergone the training under the expert guidance of the master of Sajma. The principle of transmission is the novel discovery or the rediscovery which has made the path so smooth and easy and natural that it cannot be believed unless it is actually experienced. So that completes this chapter. Anything to add, sir?
Um, Sir always says that whatever the powers you develop are usually not known to you, and they will be utilized by the master for the purpose he wants it. And you may not even know that you are being utilized for that purpose during those times. So
Mm.
the when you uh, develop the higher conditions, master sees that you are not aware of those conditions, so that you may not uh, utilize them for unnecessary things or non-divine things, so that you are safe. Otherwise, if you know that, you may utilize them for silly things or superfluous things or some even dangerous things also.
Mhm.
He makes it very clear that you are not aware of those things, and he utilizes your powers through you without even you being aware of those things.
Yes.
And This omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent are only revealed to the extent that is required by the divine. Even at the highest level, you may not be knowing or you may not be having those things without purpose. Many people think that the when you reach the higher levels, you have all the powers and you can do anything in the world. Only it is done for the purpose of the divine work only, not for anything else. And for that, you require a proper guide or trainer to put you in the proper place. If that is not there, probably you may become a danger to the
So,
world, like Hiranyakashipu or Ravanasura or somebody else. So though they got the powers, they utilize them in a different ways, and it requires a divine intervention again to control it. So Master here clearly says that you are not even aware of what you have, and only aware to the extent that is useful for the divine work. His censor also says very clearly that uh, you will be utilized even without your knowledge by the master for the purpose what he wants. So what you have to have is the humility to know that you are a servant of the master and nothing else at whatever level you are. That is my understanding. What do you say?
and just one thing to clarify here, he
Yeah,
says the necessary purification and the introduction of divine light is done at the central portion, that is heart, right? And this is
right.
he's talking about the introduction.
At the heart. Yeah.
Any questions, anyone? Just put it in very simple language, many
Yeah, it's
things.
very simple, very clear. The other point he makes is that once you are in a condition where you feel bliss and happiness, and your master sees that you are not stuck there, because otherwise you don't want to move out of that place, because beyond the bliss sometimes you may feel a very dry areas. So those areas sometimes people may not be in a condition to absorb them. So here the master's help is required to show that the path is further on. Otherwise, we stay back with the bliss or Sachidananda or whatever it is and be happy in that condition itself without moving, becoming an avadut condition. So that is not uh, what the master wants for us. He wants us to move further on. So here the help of the master through transmission is very essential.
Avadut can come at various
Any stage,
knots, right?
any stage,
Not
it can come at any stage. Yeah, because you stay back in that position and enjoy it. Like bhakti is there, you stay back in that bhakti only and enjoy it. Okay, or the ananda position, bliss condition is there. You want to be in that bliss only always. Don't want to move further on. So it can come. Avadhuta condition can be there at any level, and you get stuck there. If you start enjoying that and feel that is it where you want to be, you don't want to move out of that place. Then there is a
I
comfort
think that
zone.
is, yeah.
Without you don't want to move out of that comfort zone.
Mm. That
That's
is
the
where
beginning.
master also,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead, sir.
Uh, that's why when you are taking sittings, one sitting will be where you feel you are very happy and comfortable and enjoy it. The next sitting may be very difficult for you.
Mm.
Uh, you will be totally restless in the next sitting. That means you have come out of your comfort zone, getting into a new zone. That is help. That is the effect of the transmission which you received from your guide. So like that, uh, sometimes you when you don't have a proper training and the guide, uh, you stay back in that comfort zone and don't want to move out.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what he also brings out.
This is where master also takes a very critical view, right? Because he said all the jnana you get it in the
Yeah,
first note, Viveka.
right, right,
Mm.
right.
They said the book is written for the people who consider themselves as a jnani, the Anand Cure book, right? So,
Yes, yeah. That is the beginning of your movement.
yeah. Shall we take
We
this
continue with
chapter
the next
also?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can continue.
it's about 5 pages. So I think we can complete this and then
Right.
chapter 10, the life of the Abhyasi. The Abhyasis of Sahaj Marg are doubly blessed for their being the Abhyasis and for a being in Sahaj Marg. The serious student of Sahaj Marg is a shining example of a man on the path of real freedom. Soon after one steps into the path of Sahaj Marg, he begins to feel a fresh breeze of freedom and lightness. The effect of transmission makes all his thinking activities serve his real purpose, which is nothing short of attaining perfect oneness with God or the ultimate point. The imposition of innumerable physical and mortal disciplines has provoked endless criticism. This cleverly exploits the apparent dualism between discipline and freedom, or universal love and secluded life, and either never leaves one free to be disciplined or always imposes some restriction or other upon one's freedom. In the practice of Sahaj Marg, this struggle is obviated by inducting a strong will and urge in the Abhyasi to remain connected with that which is the absolute or the ultimate. Morality and moral living are not prescribed to create automate, automations, but the Abhyasi, finding the reflection of the ultimate condition in the moral life, automatically adopts the same for himself. This is important. Morality and moral living are not prescribed to create automations, but the Abhyasi, finding the reflection of the ultimate condition in the moral life, automatically adopts the same for himself. The practice of meditation, according to the method of Sahaj Marg, is open to one and all, regardless of color, creed, sex, or age, etc. The Abhyasi, having taken up the practice of meditation, tries to become regular in his practice. He associates particular timings of the day and particular posture of his body with his meditation and associates the meditation itself with workshop and prayer. Thus, he constantly endeavors to remain linked up with the divine, with the divinity within himself. He always tries to orient his thought towards that alone. This attitude of his influences his living in such a way as to make it conducive for his spiritual progress. After an Abhyasi takes 3 or 4 sittings from his preceptor, he generally feels a sort of new life having been breathed into him. An imperceptible but a very strong center is formed in the innermost core of his being. The tendencies of his mind are no longer haphazard and wayward, forming innumerable knots and complications. On the contrary, he feels that he is no longer a prey to innumerable compelling desires. Gradually, the intensities of his emotions subside. The heart center takes charge of his lower centers. He ceases to take fresh impressions on his heart. The knot of his heart begins to get loosened. In short, the process of sublimation begins in him. The life of an Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg is a rapidly evolving one. It took millions of years, as the Western scientists tell us, for the evolution of human forms from rudimentary unicellular forms of life on the face of the earth. In Sahaj Marg, a higher power enters into the life of the Abhyasi through transmission and accelerates his inner evolution. The Abhyasi is as if twice born, once from the womb of his earthly mother and next from the mental womb of his spiritual mother, the Guru. The life force in the Abhyasi is no longer a half blind, instinctive, or groping entity. The nature of his consciousness, too, is revolutionized. He is no longer a limited being of waking consciousness. He lives and works in all the different states of waking, sleep, semi sleep, etc. His inner activity grows 1,000 times stronger. His consciousness is no longer bound to the physical plane only. Due to the transmission of the ultimate consciousness in him, he starts taking work from the different degrees of super and superfine consciousness. His work includes both knowing and working. The knowledge of spiritual states in himself comes to him effortlessly because of transmission. He gradually learns to distinguish between the knowledge about the things and the state of knowledge itself. Further on, his knowledge turns into direct knowledge without any intermediate layers of perceptions, however transparent. Consequently, he is rid of all anxieties and lower vital motivations. The life is no more a burden to bear, but a light and fast vehicle to reach the goal of human life. Take a pause here. So again, he is giving a lot of clues, and we should see that. I'm sure you would have felt all these things, and this is something
It
we
makes
should.
your life so much ease. You live with so much ease in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like many things, right? The tendencies of mind are no longer haphazard or wayward, forming innumerable knots. On the contrary,
Yeah.
he feels he's no longer a prey to innumerable compelling desires. Intensities
Exactly.
of emotion subside. Yeah, heart begins to get loosened. And this, the life is no more a burden to bear, but a light and fast vehicle to reach the goal of human life.
Yes.
Go ahead. Due to the special feature of the methods of Sahaj Marg, namely the yogic transmission, the Abhyasi is neither diverted nor enticed by the various spiritual experiences on the path. He is fully aware that the end of spirituality is the beginning of reality. Therefore, he does not confuse the means with the end. He is fully convinced that his spiritual progress is in the safest hands and in the most competent hands too. The master or guide is ever present for him, just because of his utter dependence on the master, who is none else than the absolute or the one who is at the goal or the center. The Abhyasi finds that his pride and vanity have vanished, and that his grossness and inner solidity have melted away. He begins to feel a new light having caught his attention, and he is no longer able to concentrate upon his earlier silly fancies and desires. Nothing binds him anymore except the attracting power of goal, namely God. An unconscious awareness of divine presence everywhere starts to automatically regulate the life of the Abhyasi. His constant remembrance of Master establishes a connection between himself and God. Since God has been conceived to be the ultimate source of all, the Abhyasi begins to find a sort of divine relationship or a connection between himself and all the rest of the world. Progressing further, he finds that all men and women in the world are really his own brothers and sisters. His behavior with others is regulated by the connection of love. His life goes on becoming simpler and simpler to get in conformity with the nature. The sufferings due to ideas of jealousy, vengeance, and hatred will no longer be there for him. His sorrows and miseries are God sent blessings for him. His austerities and penances consist in facing and enduring the ills of his fellow beings and not in body torturing in forest. His wife, children, and other members of his family are for him the children of God, given under his care to look after properly. He is no longer deluded by the bonds of flesh and blood. His relationship with the world is now in a new light. The idea of being a doer of works in the world gradually changes into finer and subtler forms for the Abhyasi. He begins to feel that it is not he who is doing them. A great burden is taken away from him by substituting his master for himself. This idea results in his losing the body consciousness. Sometimes he even feels that his body is that of somebody else. He is wonderstruck. Progressing further, he loses the soul consciousness also. Actions he finds are just happening. He is stupefied and is now living in a state of wonder. All this happens due to his constant remembrance of the Master. His thought, word, and deed, and everything else are no longer his own, but the divine power has completely taken charge of. He is God possessed and God intoxicated. Nevertheless, Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg does not behave abnormally. He is quite a normal person for all practical purposes, but with a difference. Whereas the ordinary person's living is material and self centered, the living of the Abhyasi is spiritual and God sent. Take a pause here. Anything to add, sir?
No, it's very clear how a man progresses and ultimately his living becomes God-centered means he thinks of the Parahita always.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg does not believe that the life of a householder is not conducive to higher spiritual development. He aims at attaining the fourfold perfection of human life of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Brahmacharya is a state of studentship to cultivate the virtues based upon the divine light. It is living and moving in God. Its essence, as commonly believed, is not a negative fight against the instinct of sex, but is a positive movement in God. Earning money to maintain himself and his dependents and to help the society through his legitimate profession is a must for him. To adopt the life of a beggar for his living in the name of God is to shirk away from his duty and responsibility. By intensely desiring for God, he attains the state of desirelessness. Kama leads him to moksha. The Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg starts his practice with a kind of love for and trust in the master. Soon after that, he begins to find that he is beginning to develop love towards the entire mankind and that his trust in the master is growing stronger and stronger. His attachment or intimacy with the master goes on increasing to such an extent that it is no longer necessary to use forced methods and finally takes its natural form of connection. This growth in the depth and intensity of his love of Master is simultaneously accompanied by a realization of universal love. He is now living in the field of true relationship with the entire creation. He is one with him, who in turn is one with his creation. This is the state of oneness which the Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg attains so easily. The Abhyasi gradually proceeds on to subtler and subtler states of oneness, where he loses even the consciousness of his love of the Master. Ultimately, this relationship of love turns into its original condition, where even the idea of love also fades out of the heart of the Abhyasi. The oneness is now complete. Simplicity, calmness, and purity are all left behind. He is now swimming in the central region as depicted by Babuji in his book Efficacy of Raj Yoga in the Light of Natural God. Take a pause here.
That means he gains freedom from freedom.
Hmm.
So when you reach the ultimate stage, everything you give up. Master says at the final stages, you even give up your guru also. That's what he says. The last attachment of yours is to the guru. Even that is given up and you are handed over to the divine totally. The guru stays back and gives you over to the divine. So the saying is that when the disciple is ready, the guru disappears.
Hmm.
There is no difference between the two at the time. That is a freedom from freedom.
Freedom from freedom. Okay.
Anybody else want to say anything? Then we will
The life of the Abhyasi of Sahaj Marg is really a full life in both the worlds. He is neither an ascetic to deny the material comforts, nor an atheist to deny the spiritual beatitude. His fulfillment is had both here and hereafter. He is not a self centered egoist to remain in an ivory tower. He knows his limitations fully well and has also got full faith in his connection with one who is free from all the limitations. thus aware of the all-enveloping existence of the One Absolute. He never covets that which is due to others. He leads the full life of a full human being without allowing his heart to be tainted and blemished by desires and consequent bondages. One should only enter this field to have the real taste of such a glorious life. Sometimes an Abhyasi is ordered by the master to work as the preceptor to help other Abhyasis through the method of transmission as per Sahaj Marg. The life of the preceptor will be explained in a separate chapter. At present, it is enough if it is mentioned that he still goes on leading the life of an Abhyasi even after taking up the duties of a preceptor. It is only as an Abhyasi that a person can attain the highest condition possible for a human being in the realm of divinity. The preceptorship and other divine works taken up at the instance of the Master are only in the interest of mankind in general, which incidentally may contribute to some extent to the experience of the Abhyasi. That completes the chapter 10, Life of an Abhyasi. Any questions?
Here he explains how you fly with both wings
Yeah.
in the world. Yeah, flying with the both the wings is the one which he tries to explain here.
Hmm.
And, and the moderation is the way to attain that. And as
Yes.
the preceptor's life, he says in a nutshell, that is basically an abhyasi. Everyone throughout life is an abhyasi only. You do the work as ordained to you by the master. Otherwise, you are only an abhyasi. There is no difference between one and the other. Everyone is an abhyasi, and we help each other as a co-travelers, basically. Nobody is more, nobody is less. And the path is, and the goal is infinity. Who is nearer, who is farther?
Hmm.
So that is what he says. When you are trying to be uh, doing your preceptorship duty, you become a better abhyasi. That's what he says.
Yes. Yeah, so next chapter is that one that we can.
That probably will stop here.
That we
One
can
of
cover
my
next.
one of my professors used to say, if you want to learn a subject, go and give a lecture on that. So, so that is, I think that is a rule actually. If you want to learn
Yes.
something, go and give a lecture on that. If you are prepared for the subject and you are prepared for the clarifications people ask, the questions people ask, and your own doubts also will be cleared on the subject at that time.
You prepare more thoroughly because others will ask the questions. If you are just doing it for yourself, then you will not prepare that much thoroughly.
Exactly. So that is the preceptor post. You become better. Anybody
Any
else?
questions? Raghavan?
Anyway, it's clear. I think it's a very simple language and quite striking.
We'll stop here.
Yeah. So we'll meet next Sunday. Thank you.
Namaste.